I thought I was Father of the Year, but my son turned out to be a better father than me. And he was killed one day after his baby turned 6 months.
Today I want to announce a new component of our violent crime strategy.
NIBIN.
Is this going to save lives?
It will, definitely, yes.
Solving violent crime, especially gun violence, can be difficult. And when no one wants to talk to investigators, it can be even harder. But NIBIN is helping. It's technology that's used all over the country and right here in Danville. The evidence shows it's working. It's helping investigators find the people responsible and bring justice to victims.
Danville's your typical city. We have young children, I'm talking about age, 5th, 6th grade, walking around with guns. And they don't find them in their homes. They go on the street. Some older person gives it to them or sells it to them. My name is Curtis Gore. My son was killed through gun violence. And now that I'm retired, it is my mission to try to help other kids to keep them from either killing someone or being killed.
Talk to me about Brandon with his kids.
I thought I was Father of the Year, but my son turned out to be a better father than me. He has 2 girls, Liza, who's now 6, starting 1st grade, and he was killed one day after his baby turned 6 months. And she's now 18 months and saying her ABC, and she is him. Saying her alphabet, saying her numbers. I put her to bed the other night, and I looked at her, and I saw my son.
National Integrated Ballistics Identification Network, or what we refer to frequently as NIBIN.
NIBIN gives you a start point. Say you have a shooting incident over the weekend and you've got nothing. It occurred at 3 in the morning, no video, nobody's talking to you. Maybe you don't even have anybody struck but a car or a house that's shot up, but you have casings. Then you have another incident a few days later with a house or a car or maybe even person shot up. You can connect those incidents through NIBIN and through ballistics imaging. So you know, okay, we have one person or 2 people that are out here shooting up areas of our community. All right, and hopefully NIBIN will link not only those incidents, will link you back to that person. So that gives you a big leg up in the investigation.
These casings are from a firearm that was recovered that we actually test fired here. And this is our CSU processing office. This is where we can process shell casing. I'm Corporal Stephen Kennedy, Danville Police Department, working our crime scene unit. It's a 9-day difference. I mean, the investigative leads that you're able to use. We just had an incident the other day. It linked to 4 other incidents. So there's no actionable intelligence in a case. You just have casings that are recovered from the scene. There's no witnesses, no victims. Somebody was shooting a firearm. Those casings may relate to an incident where there is actionable intelligence. So now you have leads in a case where you had nothing before.
Is this going to save lives?
It will, definitely, yes.
Because you're able to take action quickly?
Correct. We're able to take action quickly and get violent criminals off the street faster with intelligence we may not have had. I'd say we're cutting edge for the region for sure.
What kind of difference does that make?
It's huge when it comes to solving crime and in doing so in a timely manner. We're just able to get results much quicker than just relying on other agencies or outside sources to get our information back to us. We can do it ourselves in-house. A lot of times have results within hours as opposed to months and use that to help solve a case.
Does it make your job easier when it comes to prosecution?
Absolutely. Sometimes the difficulty may be who's there, who's not there. One way it helps in reference to first knowing how many guns and or individuals may be involved. You may have 27 different 9mm casings, but once you use NIBIN, that helps in reference to telling you, well, it's 3 different guns were used in the shooting. It also helps the investigators narrow down suspects. Also, it brings some level to witnesses in reference to, maybe a little more comfort in actually cooperating with the police and telling them what they know, that it's not just on their eyewitness testimony, it's also some science behind the prosecution.
Danville has had about 400 hits in the NIBIN system since they started using it in 2018, and it's leading to investigators being able to solve crimes faster.
You're holding people accountable who have committed violent crimes or used those firearms to commit violent crimes. You can prevent the violent crimes from occurring in the first place. Today I want to announce a new component of our violent crime strategy. So NIBIN is such an important tool because it is an opportunity for state, local, and federal law enforcement to try to be able to solve a violent crime that occurred in an individual community. And if it's not being used, then there's a valuable lead or valuable evidence that's being left on the table.
There are 280 agencies around the country using NIBIN who have the systems, and that number is growing. The purpose of this is to assist state and local with their unsolved shootings. And so this van can travel to high crime areas.
You take this mobile van into high crime areas, and what have you found?
We have found that a small number of shooters are doing a relatively high number of shootings. And that's huge when it comes to an investigative lead, because shootings will happen today, one happened yesterday, and one happened the day before. And we have 3 different investigators investigating each of those crimes. With NIBIN, we can show that those 3 shootings are linked.
So potentially the same gun being used in multiple shootings.
Correct, yes.
In a very specific area.
Yes.
And that's what you're seeing?
And that's what we're seeing. We are also seeing up the 95 corridor from Florida to New York, firearms being used in crimes along the way. So with the NIBIN van, we can search a certain region or we can search the whole country.
Talk to me about the limitations of NIBIN, because it can't be perfect.
You know, it's not perfect. I think any technology is imperfect. You know, sometimes you might not have a good hit. Sometimes you're not able to gather those casings that can be used for submission. And at the end of the day, nothing beats community cooperation. Nothing beats a community that trusts their police department enough that they will come forward and provide valuable information early on in investigation so we can bring that offender to justice.
It's not the end all. It won't solve a case by itself. It's a tool, it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's a very important piece of the puzzle that can really bring a case to its conclusion.
NIBIN is as good as its input. There's millions of pieces of evidence that are a part of the database. But if it's not being used in the communities, if it's not being used in the Western District of Virginia, then law enforcement agencies are not able to draw lines and make connections between violent crimes that are occurring in an individual community or across communities. That's one of the things that we've heard from some of our local law enforcement agencies, that they don't believe that they have access. That's a solvable problem. It's being solved, and we're seeing more and more access here in the Western District of Virginia every day. But importantly, it also takes time and effort to locate shell casings when there's a shooting and to collect that evidence. But we feel like that is such a small additional expenditure and things that should be occurring anyway in the investigation of violent crimes, that all we're talking about really is just submitting the shell casings to the Ballistics Identification Network. And we absolutely think that it's worth that time and staff.
You know, I'm very passionate about reducing violence. I've been doing this for almost 30 years now in a couple different places. And to me, for law enforcement not to put all hands on deck approach to reducing gun violence, then we're really not doing our job. We should be doing everything we can to save lives in our community. And part of that is quickly identifying those suspects that have caused harm and finding justice for those families and limiting that retaliation. I think we have to do that. That's our job.
I think anything they can do to get guns off the street, anything they can do to a case, let's say in New Jersey that comes to Danville, if it's the same gun with the NIBIN system, they can now make sure these two are together. Where was this gun in the meantime? And they can start tracking down people that have committed crimes.
We'd like to hear what you think about the topic. Leave us a comment below. And be sure to subscribe to our Solutionaries channel. We're just getting started.